We've heard a lot about the program review, what's going on now specifically, but we've not talked a lot about the holistic or the broader context of the review, and specifically why it was done in an expedited fashion. We have talked about also the fact that we are not technically a liberal arts institution. We are a comprehensive post-baccalaureate, postgraduate degree awarding institution. But that's a very broad term and doesn't speak to a lot of what the core identity of the university is, because you can be a postgraduate awarding degree university, but you could have your concentration in lots of areas. You could have your core mission in a number of areas and still have that same designation. So my question is could you speak in some more specific terms about not simply what we are as a designation, whether we're liberal arts or business object, but what the core mission of the university is now and what you want it to be at the end of the 717 process and beyond, in specific terms.
I can speak to part of that, and anybody else that wants to jump in can do that. The 717 is our strategic plan, and that is our guide. Back when it was created, it was the president's first year, and she constituted a commission on the university's future. Over a period of about 2 years, we had hundreds of people involved in the process of creating that strategic plan. In that plan, which I hope you have read, it has goals and directives. Those goals are not exact where we're going to end up. They're directions we're going to go. We want to have a stronger core curriculum, and that core curriculum now will be going in place in the fall of the year, and that will help satisfy us in creating a more liberally educated student. It's designed after the American Association of Colleges and Universities, AAC&U, and that particular program now will certainly show itself in our core curriculum. We also, in 717, where we're going to end up, is that I hope we end up, as every university, evolving over time. If you go back and look at our institution when it began as a teacher's college, a normal school, we've evolved consistently from that time. We had our first graduate programs go in place in 1964, but students were getting their graduate education between here and Virginia Tech before that. So over time, we have added programs and we deleted programs. It's the nature of higher education. So what I hope we will do is follow 717 as a guiding light, as a compass direction to get us somewhere, but where we're going to go will require everybody in here and all our faculty and staff in helping set what that end game will be. Thank you, Matt.
Matt, if I could just add something quickly. This is a very big question, and we are short on time, and I hope it's the kind of question we really get to talk about quite a lot more in all kinds of ways. As Dr. Stanton says, nothing has made me happier in all this than to see how many students are willing to come forward and advocate for the liberal arts. And I can tell you all kinds of reasons why that makes me happy, but it's not about me. Radford has a wonderful history. I'm new to Radford, so I might be one of the less expected people to say this, but we began, as Dr. Stanton said, in 1910 as a normal school, as a 2-year school to educate teachers to serve Southwest Virginia. That is a tradition to be very, very proud of. It's not the way most of us talk about a liberal arts tradition, but to be a comprehensive university means we follow this tradition of educating teachers, nurses, social workers, business professionals, in addition to educating students in the liberal arts, and we provide the liberal arts foundations of an education for all of our students. And I would be very, very disappointed if the end of this debate about the liberal arts becomes somehow a way of setting off our professional schools against departments in my colleges, departments in the performing arts, departments in the sciences, because that's what we can do very, very well. And, when we talk about these doctoral programs, these applied doctoral programs, the PsyD program, our first, is designed, I think, brilliantly to produce counseling psychologists, an area of absolute critical need for this region. So, the vision is, in many ways, very, very consistent, and I can tell you, very, very compelling.
One last comment about the liberal arts piece of this. If you read what I've written on that website, you will see that we all have a strong orientation, affinity, desire to have more of our students founded and grounded in the liberal arts. We do that through our core curriculum, but now we're setting up across the curriculum so that if you take a course in critical thinking in your freshman year, that critical thinking will be emphasized across the entire curriculum. Our principle is not to, as Brian just said, pit liberal arts against the professional program, but rather every program in this institution must, absolutely must, have a foundation, a cornerstone in the liberal arts. That doesn't mean that everyone has to get a degree in liberal arts to say we support it, we value it, and we want every program to have it. We have to blend those two things together, and I'm dedicated and committed to make that happen.
I understand that your program review is very important and that everyone needs to get a chance to to review your programs. But I'm concerned about where the money is going. I mean, tuition is increasing and enrollment is increasing, but you're cutting programs. So I'm just curious as to where all of our money is going if it's not going to these programs we're paying for.
Well, to begin with, when you talk about the money coming in, we've had $4.85 million academic affairs that we're having to revert back. Now, when we talk about supporting programs, what we're trying to do is to find out which programs need support, where that support's needed, and what's it going to cost to make a program become great. So the program review process is a necessary condition at every university across the entire country, and every university goes through this periodically. What I want to do through program review is to identify where the strengths are, where the weaknesses, where it can be enhanced, and we will put resources where they're needed. In some cases, if a program is discontinued, those resources will be moved from where they are now to where they desperately are needed. That's what every university does, that's what we have done in the past, and we'll continue doing it in the future.
You guys have been talking a lot about the future. In today's globally connected world, why would a relatively isolated university like Radford cut back on essential international and intercultural programs? Such as the minors and all those programs.
Well, again, the recommendation from the committee of the 24 programs that we examined, there was only one negative recommendation. The other 23 have been recommended to go forward either as they are or with some minor modification. So if there's a belief out there that we have made recommendations to do away with massive numbers of programs, that just belies reality. That's not what we did. We did the opposite of that.
Were you asking about international programs?
Yeah.
What specifically are you asking?
I'm not entirely knowledgeable about this because it's not my major, but I would hope to minor in international or intercultural studies.
We are a university that puts great emphasis on international experiences. And the global economy we're living in, anybody today can look on television and see that our economy impacts others and theirs impacts us. So if we had anything we want to do, it'd be increase students' exposure through international travel, through study abroads, through other activities where they can become more knowledgeable about other countries and other cultures. We're beginning to talk about, Danny Templeton sitting over there, talking about using distance education so we can connect classrooms here to classrooms in other countries so students can work on the same project and understand how different cultures solve the same problem, but in different ways. So there's nothing on here to eliminate international programs.
I would just like to add another note on that too, because one of the pieces of the discussion around the International Studies minor and the Appalachian Studies minor and the Peace Studies minor and the Women's Studies minor was that there was a lot of inequity in terms of the amount of support that those programs received. And that was a big concern because, again, here are some programs that we believe in that are having difficulty getting students, particularly in the upper division courses. We want them to thrive, and we wanted to figure out how do we bring more support then, how can we make that support a little bit more equitable.